Listen closely. The clock of eternity is ticking, and the second hand is racing toward the moment history has been groaning for. The urgency of the moment cannot be overstated. We are not speaking of a distant event that may or may not happen in some far-off future. We are speaking of something already in motion, something that is unfolding right before our eyes. The signs are not vague or uncertain. They are crystal clear for anyone willing to see. The world is shifting at an unprecedented speed. The moral compass of nations is spinning without direction. What was once considered unthinkable is now celebrated openly, and what was once sacred is treated as outdated or irrelevant. The very atmosphere feels heavy with change, as if the earth itself knows that the final chapter is being written. Every moment we waste is a moment we cannot get back. The clock of eternity moves in one direction, and it will not stop to accommodate our hesitation. The pace of prophecy is accelerating. The words spoken thousands of years ago by inspired voices are now aligning with the headlines of our day. Every fulfilled sign brings us closer to the final moment. It is not a time for apathy, not a time for delay. It is the moment to sharpen our focus, to understand that history as we know, it is nearing its culmination. This is not meant to produce fear, but to awaken resolve. There is a difference between knowing something will happen and living as if it could happen at any moment. Too many have allowed the noise of the world to drown out the voice of eternity. Too many are lulled into thinking that because the sun rose today, it will always rise tomorrow. Yet the truth is, the dawn we take for granted may soon give way to a day unlike any before it. We are being summoned to live with an urgency that recognizes the shortness of time. Consider the weight of this moment. The choices you make today are not just about you. They ripple into the lives of those around you. A word of truth spoken in love can shift someone's eternity. An act of kindness done without seeking recognition can echo in heaven. The urgency of now means there is no space for meaningless arguments, petty distractions, or selfish pursuits. Every step we take must be measured against eternity's backdrop. The call to readiness is not about perfection, but about direction. You may not have all the answers, you may still be working through challenges, but the question is, are you moving toward the one who holds time itself? Are you aligning your life with the reality that the end of the age is approaching? Readiness is not passive. It is active, intentional, and unwavering, even when the world tries to pull you into its current. This moment in history will not be repeated. The convergence of global events, spiritual warnings, and visible signs is unlike any season before. It is as if every voice from heaven is crying out at once, urging us to see, to listen, and to act. Those who dismiss it will be caught unaware, not because they weren't warned, but because they chose comfort over truth. Those who embrace it will walk with a fire in their spirit, knowing that they are part of something far greater than themselves. The weight of prophecy should ignite passion, not paralysis. To understand that the final sign has appeared is to recognize that everything we do now carries eternal significance. Time is no longer a luxury. It is a stewardship. How we spend it will determine what we reap. It is not enough to simply acknowledge the urgency. We must allow it to transform how we live, how we speak, how we love, and how we stand in a world that resists the truth. The sense of urgency should also bring clarity. Suddenly, the things that once consumed our energy will seem trivial compared to the magnitude of eternity. Petty grievances will lose their power. Temporary pleasures will feel empty in the light of the everlasting. We will begin to see the world not as a playground, but as a battleground where every action and decision matters. In this clarity, we find strength to live boldly, even in the face of uncertainty. There is no such thing as neutral ground in this moment. To ignore the urgency is to make a choice by default. The signs have spoken. The Spirit is stirring hearts to wake up, to rise, to move. This is not a passive season. This is the call to step into your place in the unfolding story. Every day wasted is an opportunity surrendered, a chance to make a difference that will never come again. The urgency of the moment is a divine alarm bell ringing across the earth. It shakes us from our slumber, demands our attention, and refuses to let us stay the same. Those who hear it will find themselves compelled to act, to speak, to live with an intensity that matches the times. It is not a burden to be carried with dread, but a privilege to be embraced with courage. The sign has been given, the time is now, and the only question left is how we will respond. Readiness over complacency is not simply an idea to agree with, it is a lifestyle to embrace. The difference between the two is the difference between being awake and being asleep in a burning house. Complacency whispers that there is still time, that nothing urgent is happening, that tomorrow will be the same as today. But readiness knows the truth. Moments matter, and the next one is never promised. This is why complacency is so dangerous. It lulls you into inaction until it is too late to act. Many live as if the warnings are exaggerated or the urgency is unnecessary. They fill their days with distractions, convincing themselves that they will shift their focus when the right time comes. But the right time never comes for those who wait. It is something that only belongs to those who choose readiness now. Complacency steals not only time, but the fire of the Spirit. It replaces conviction with comfort and passion with passivity. Readiness, however, is active. It prepares before the need arises. It does not wait for trouble to knock before securing the door. It seeks to walk in truth and righteousness daily, knowing that life is not a rehearsal, but the main stage. It sees every interaction as a divine appointment, every day as a chance to make an eternal impact. Readiness is not born out of fear of what is coming, but out of love for the one who is coming. The posture of readiness requires discipline. It demands that we filter what we allow into our minds, guard what we allow into our hearts, and be intentional about where we invest our time. While the complacent may waste hours scrolling through empty noise, the ready person invests those same hours in building faith, encouraging others, and deepening their connection with what truly matters. Every choice either strengthens readiness or feeds complacency. Complacency thrives in routine without purpose. It hides behind busyness, creating the illusion of productivity while producing nothing of eternal value. It convinces you that because you are moving, you are progressing. But in truth, you could be running in circles while the finish line draws near. The ready person refuses to mistake activity for purpose. They align their steps with a greater mission, ensuring that every movement brings them closer to the goal. Readiness sharpens focus. It keeps the heart alert, the mind sharp, and the spirit sensitive. It recognizes the signs of the times and adjusts accordingly. While complacency says it's always been this way, readiness says it will not always be this way, act now. The ready person is not caught off guard because they live prepared. They store oil in their lamps, they keep their armor on, and they walk with eyes wide open. Those who choose readiness understand that preparation is not a one-time event, but a continual posture. You do not prepare once and then coast. You prepare daily, knowing that each day carries its own battles and opportunities. This is the difference between a soldier in the field and one asleep in the barracks. The one who is ready can respond instantly when called. The complacent one must scramble and often misses the moment entirely. Complacency often disguises itself as peace, but it is a false peace built on denial. Readiness may require effort, sacrifice, and vigilance, but it produces a deep and genuine peace because it knows it has done what it can to be prepared. There is a calm confidence in the ready heart, a settled assurance that it is aligned with the will and timing of God. The cost of readiness is far less than the cost of complacency. Readiness may require the discipline of saying no to certain distractions, of walking away from the comfortable in order to embrace the necessary. Complacency, on the other hand, costs everything in the end: missed opportunities, wasted time, and a life unprepared when it matters most. The ready person pays now to avoid paying later. Ultimately, the call to be ready is a call to live with eyes fixed forward and hearts anchored in truth. It is a conscious choice to rise above the haze of routine, to reject the seduction of delay, and to position oneself in a place of readiness for whatever comes. The complacent will watch opportunities pass them by. The ready will step into them with courage and clarity, knowing they have prepared for such a time as this. Live with eternal focus means seeing beyond the immediate and temporary and fixing your eyes on what will last forever. It is refusing to build your life on what can be shaken and instead rooting yourself in what cannot be moved. The world offers countless distractions, pleasures that fade, possessions that perish, and pursuits that lose meaning over time. Eternal focus cuts through the noise and asks the deeper question: will this matter 1,000 years from now? That perspective changes everything about how we live, how we choose, and how we value our time. When eternal focus shapes your life, every decision becomes intentional. You begin to weigh your actions not against temporary convenience, but against eternal consequence. Your time is no longer just hours on a clock. It is a divine resource to be invested in things that will outlast you. You stop wasting energy on arguments that won't matter and start pouring that same energy into relationships, faith, and acts of love that will echo into eternity. Eternal focus changes how you handle success and failure. The victories of this world will pass and the losses of this world will fade, but the treasures stored in heaven remain. This focus frees you from the prison of comparison because you realize that you are not racing against others, you are running toward a goal that is eternal. It allows you to celebrate what truly matters and release what does not. This kind of focus requires discipline of thought. The human mind naturally drifts toward what is seen and tangible, but eternal focus demands that we train our thoughts to dwell on what is unseen and lasting. It calls for a heart that remembers life is not just about the here and now. Every choice, every sacrifice, every step of obedience is part of a larger story that will unfold long after the temporary has passed away. Living with eternal focus will often put you at odds with the culture around you. The world values what is immediate. It chases quick rewards and instant gratification. Eternal focus, on the other hand, is willing to wait, to sow faithfully even when the harvest seems far off. It does not demand immediate results because it trusts the one who holds the future. This patience is not passive. It is active faith, working diligently while keeping eyes fixed on the greater prize. It also shifts how you respond to trials. When your perspective is eternal, hardship is no longer just a problem. It becomes a process that shapes you for what is to come. Pain, loss, and struggle take on new meaning when you see them in light of eternity. They are no longer wasted experiences, but tools in the hands of God to refine your character, deepen your faith, and prepare you for a glory that far outweighs the present moment. Instead of judging them by their status, appearance, or what they can do for you, you begin to see souls, eternal beings with infinite value. You treat them with greater kindness, speak truth with more urgency, and pray for them with deeper compassion because you know that their eternity matters far more than their temporary circumstances. It also transforms your priorities. You begin to let go of things you once clung to, offenses, grudges, and trivial pursuits, because you see how small they are in the grand picture. You start investing your time and resources into things that will bear fruit beyond your lifetime. You seek opportunities to serve, to give, and to love, not for recognition, but because those acts carry eternal weight. This way of living demands courage. It is not easy to walk against the current of a world obsessed with the temporary. Eternal focus means saying no to many good things in order to say yes to the best things. It means resisting the pull to chase fleeting pleasures and instead embracing the path that leads to lasting reward. It is choosing to stand firm when others drift because you know your foundation is secure. Living with eternal focus is a daily decision. It is the constant recalibration of your heart toward what matters most, even when distractions try to pull you away. It is walking through life with open eyes, knowing that every step, every word, and every choice has significance that reaches beyond the present. This focus keeps you anchored, unshaken, and moving forward toward the only destination worth giving your life for. Bold witness in dark times means refusing to hide your light when the world grows darker. It is standing firm in truth, even when truth is unpopular. It is speaking with conviction when silence would be easier and living in a way that points to a higher standard when compromise is all around. Darkness has a way of intimidating people into retreat, but a bold witness steps forward instead, shining brighter precisely because the night has fallen. The presence of darkness is not a reason to hide, it is a reason to shine. Being a bold witness requires courage that goes beyond personality. It is not about being naturally outspoken or fearless. It is about being deeply convinced that the message you carry is too important to be silenced. This conviction is birthed from knowing the truth for yourself, walking in it daily, and valuing it more than the approval of people. When you know the light you carry is from God, you also know it is not meant to be kept under a covering. In dark times, bold witness is rarely comfortable. It may invite ridicule, misunderstanding, or even hostility. Yet the purpose of the witness is not to seek comfort, but to remain faithful. History has shown that some of the greatest displays of faith and courage happen when the world is most hostile to truth. It is often in the harshest environments that the strongest testimonies are born. Those who refuse to blend in become living beacons of hope, drawing others toward the light. A bold witness also understands the power of consistency. It is not just about speaking truth once in a while, it is about living it daily, so that your life and your words match. In a time when many bend their morals to fit the moment, a consistent life becomes a powerful testimony. People may debate your words, but they cannot ignore the evidence of a life transformed. Consistency is what turns a single spark into a steady flame that others can trust. Boldness does not mean arrogance. It does not mean shouting others down or forcing your beliefs without love. True boldness is rooted in humility, knowing that the light you shine is not your own, but entrusted to you. It is possible to be both gentle and unyielding, to be compassionate without compromise. The bold witness is guided by love, because love is what makes the truth worth speaking in the first place. Dark times are fertile ground for deception, and that is why clarity is so crucial. A bold witness speaks clearly without watering down or twisting the truth to make it more palatable. Truth loses its power when diluted, but spoken plainly and with grace, it cuts through confusion like a beam of light through fog. Those who are searching for direction will not find it in vague words. They will find it in the unshakable clarity of a life anchored in truth. Boldness is also shown in action. It is feeding the hungry when others turn away, forgiving when the world demands revenge, and showing kindness where hatred is expected. Sometimes the loudest testimony is not spoken at all, but demonstrated through choices that reflect a higher calling. These acts of love stand out even more against the backdrop of a selfish and divided world. The bold witness recognizes that influence is not limited to platforms or large crowds. Influence often begins in the smallest spaces, with family, friends, co-workers, or even strangers you encounter briefly. Every interaction is an opportunity to display the light you carry. Darkness is pushed back, not just by grand gestures, but by the accumulation of small, faithful acts that point to a greater truth. Boldness in dark times is fueled by hope. Without hope, courage fades. Without the belief that light will ultimately overcome darkness, there is little reason to stand firm. But when you carry the unshakable assurance that darkness will not win, you find the strength to keep shining no matter how overwhelming the night may seem. Hope keeps the flame alive when the winds of opposition blow. A bold witness knows the weight of their calling. They understand that the light they shine is not just for their own sake, but for those who are still trapped in the shadows. To them, every word spoken in truth and every act done in love is an act of rescue. Darkness will always try to silence the witness, but those who are bold refuse to let fear dictate their lives. They choose to stand where others shrink back, to speak where others remain silent, and to shine where others have gone dim. Decide now, not later, because the opportunity in front of you will not remain forever. Time is not an endless resource, and every moment that passes is one you can never reclaim. Waiting for a better time to commit, to act, or to align your life with truth is a dangerous gamble. The illusion that tomorrow will always come has kept countless people in a state of delay until the moment for action passed them by. The decision you put off today becomes the regret you carry tomorrow. There is a subtle trap in believing you can prepare later. Life has a way of shifting without warning. Circumstances change, doors close, and moments that once seemed certain can vanish in an instant. Those who live with the mindset of someday often find that someday never arrives. The call to decide now is not born out of pressure, but out of the reality that time is moving forward, whether you are ready or not. Indecision is itself a decision. By choosing to delay, you are making a choice, one that leaves you unprepared for the moment when everything changes. In critical moments, hesitation can be the difference between stepping into your destiny and watching it pass by. To live without deciding is to drift, letting the current of life carry you to places you never intended to go. The most important choices demand intentional action, not passive waiting. The urgency of deciding now is amplified by the fact that the signs are already here. You are not standing at the beginning of a long timeline, you are standing deep in the final chapters. The events unfolding around you are not hints of something far away, they are evidence that the moment to act is already upon you. To see the signs and still wait is to ignore the very warnings meant to wake you up. Deciding now also means rejecting the lie that you need everything to be perfect before you commit. Waiting for the ideal set of circumstances is simply another form of delay. The truth is, the perfect moment is rarely obvious until it has already passed. Those who act in faith don't wait for all the pieces to line up. They move forward trusting that what they need will be provided along the way. Many people think they will have more time to set things right, to reconcile, to let go of grudges, or to change their direction. But the reality is time slips away quietly. Days turn into weeks, weeks into years, and before long, the chance to make those changes is gone. Deciding now is about taking ownership of your life today, instead of hoping for a tomorrow you cannot control. The weight of the decision is magnified by its eternal impact. This is not about small, inconsequential choices. This is about the direction of your soul and the legacy you will leave. A delayed decision in this arena is far more costly than in any other. The stakes are higher. The consequences are lasting, and the outcome cannot be reversed once the final moment comes. There is a clarity that comes when you decide now. Suddenly, distractions lose their grip and priorities become sharper. You begin to align your actions with your values, no longer drifting but moving with intention toward what truly matters. That clarity is often the very thing people long for, yet it only comes on the other side of commitment. Until the decision is made, life feels scattered. After it is made, life gains focus. Deciding now is an act of courage. It means stepping away from the safety of indecision, where you can avoid risk, but also avoid reward. It is a declaration that you will not allow fear, doubt, or uncertainty to dictate your future. Every bold step begins with a choice, and every meaningful change begins with the resolve to stop waiting and start moving. The choice is always yours, but the moment to choose is not guaranteed. You may have more opportunities ahead, or you may be standing in the last one you will ever be given. That reality should not produce dread, it should produce urgency. Every moment you hesitate is a moment lost forever, but every decision you make in alignment with truth becomes a seed planted for eternity. When the last sign appears, it is not simply a headline to be read or a piece of news to be discussed. It is a divine announcement that demands response. It is the final confirmation that the words spoken long ago are unfolding before our very eyes. This moment is not ordinary, and it cannot be treated as such. The final sign is not given to satisfy curiosity. It is given to stir urgency, to awaken hearts, and to prepare a people who will not be caught unaware. It is heaven's way of saying, the time is now. The weight of the last sign is unlike any other. Earlier signs may have been warnings, reminders, or invitations, but the last sign signals that the season of preparation is nearly over. It is the moment where prophecy moves from being something we look forward to into something we are living in. The space for delay narrows and the margin for hesitation disappears. This is not a time to stand at a distance, watching as if you are a spectator. It is a time to step fully into readiness. The appearance of the last sign is meant to separate the watchful from the distracted. Those who have been paying attention will recognize it immediately, not because they are better than others, but because they have kept their hearts and minds alert. They have lived with the awareness that every day brings us closer to this point. But for the distracted, the last sign may pass by unnoticed, lost in the noise of everyday life. That is the danger of complacency. It blinds you to the reality unfolding right in front of you. This sign is not meant to create panic, but to ignite resolve. It should stir the soul to take inventory, to examine where you stand, and to address anything that has been left undone. The last sign is not a threat, it is a gift. It is one final call before the moment arrives, one last opportunity to align yourself with truth before the trumpet sounds. It is mercy wrapped in urgency. Recognizing the last sign requires more than simply knowing about prophecy. It requires discernment. It means looking beyond the surface and seeing the deeper meaning in what is happening around you. It means filtering events not through personal opinion or the world's narrative, but through the unchanging standard of God's word. Without discernment, the sign may appear as just another piece of news. But to the watchful, it is the unmistakable voice of heaven. The arrival of this moment should strip away distractions. Things that once seemed important suddenly feel small compared to the reality of eternity pressing in. Arguments lose their hold, possessions lose their shine, and ambitions lose their grip when the eternal clock is seconds from striking. The last sign clarifies what matters most. It leaves no room for half-hearted living or divided loyalties. It also calls for a renewed boldness. If the time is short, then the message must be shared without hesitation. The last sign is not something to keep quiet about. It is a call to stand up, to speak truth, to shine light in the midst of growing darkness. The closer we get to the moment of fulfillment, the louder the witness must become. Silence in this hour is not just a missed opportunity, it is a surrender of responsibility. The presence of the last sign also demands personal preparation. It is not enough to simply recognize the sign and talk about it with others. It must lead to action in your own life. It means addressing hidden sin, restoring broken relationships, and deepening your connection to the one who is coming. The sign is a signal to make things right, to put your spiritual house in order, and to live every day as if it could be the day you have been waiting for. The last sign is a dividing line. On one side are those who see it and respond with faith and urgency. On the other are those who see it and continue as if nothing has changed. The difference between the two is not in the sign itself, it is in the heart's response. The sign does not force a decision. It reveals what was already in the heart. Those who are ready will move closer to the light, while those who are not will sink deeper into distraction. This moment is the culmination of generations of prophecy, warning, and preparation. It carries the weight of every promise made and every truth declared. To stand in the time of the last sign is to stand at the edge of history, looking into the doorway of eternity. It is a moment that will not come twice, and it is given to you so that you can choose, act, and live in alignment with the reality that everything is about to change. The trumpet is closer to sounding than it has ever been. And with every passing day, the nearness becomes more undeniable. The signs are not vague hints or distant warnings anymore. They are unfolding with clarity that cannot be ignored. Every event, every shift in the world's systems, every moral turning point is another echo of the approaching moment. The trumpet will not sound without warning, but those warnings are growing louder and more frequent, reminding us that time is running short. The sound of that trumpet will mark a turning point unlike anything the world has ever experienced. It will be a moment that divides history into before and after, and it will happen in the blink of an eye. The world will go on as usual until that instant, and then everything will change. Those who have been watching and waiting will recognize the signs that preceded it, but for the unprepared, it will be a shock from which there is no recovery. This is why the urgency is so great, because the trumpet will not wait for anyone to be ready. Every prophecy fulfilled brings that sound closer. The alignment of events on the global stage is not coincidence. It is the hand of God guiding history toward its appointed end. The trumpet is not just a sound. It is a declaration from heaven that the time for waiting is over. Every fulfilled word, every unfolding sign is part of the countdown, and the final notes of that countdown are already playing. The reality of the trumpet's nearness should awaken the soul. It should stir a determination to live with purpose, to set aside anything that dulls the senses, and to walk in step with the truth. The trumpet will not sound for the complacent or the distracted. It will sound for the prepared, those whose hearts are aligned with the one who calls. To be ready for that moment means living each day as if it could be the day you hear that call. When you think about the trumpet sound, you cannot think only of yourself. There are people in your life who are not ready, people who have never heard the truth or have ignored it for too long. The nearness of the trumpet means that sharing the message is not optional. It is a responsibility. Every conversation, every act of kindness, every step of boldness could be the thing that points someone toward readiness before the sound is heard. The trumpet's closeness should also change your priorities. The things that once consumed your energy begin to look smaller when weighed against eternity. Pursuits that have no eternal value start to fade in importance, while the things that matter to God take center stage. It is a call to reorder your life, to invest in what will last beyond the moment when the trumpet finally sounds. This reality should also bring hope, not fear. The trumpet is not a signal of loss for those who are ready. It is the sound of promise fulfilled, of rescue completed, of a long-awaited homecoming. For the watchful, the sound will be the sweetest they have ever heard, a confirmation that their faith was not in vain and their endurance was worth it. The nearness of that sound should fill the heart with anticipation. Living in light of the trumpet's nearness is about more than avoiding wrong. It is about actively pursuing what is right. It is about using the time left to its fullest, doing good, speaking truth, and living in such a way that the trumpet will be a welcome sound, not a dreaded one. Readiness is not passive. It is a lifestyle of continual preparation, fueled by love for the one who is coming. The trumpet's approach is also a reminder that no one can prepare at the last moment. When it sounds, there will be no pause, no delay, no second chance. The decision to be ready must be made now, and the life that follows that decision must be lived daily. To hear the sound without fear requires preparation before the first note is ever played. With every sunrise, the trumpet draws closer. The signs are speaking louder than ever. The countdown is almost complete, and the moment will come without warning. The question is not whether the trumpet will sound, it is whether you will be ready when it does. So strip off every weight that slows you down, because the time for carrying unnecessary burdens is over. The race ahead is not one that can be run with divided focus or a heart weighed down by things that do not matter. Every distraction, every unhealthy attachment, every lingering sin must be cast aside if you are to run with the strength and speed this hour demands. The call is not to walk casually, it is to move with determination, unhindered and fully committed to the path set before you. There are things you have been holding on to that once felt necessary, but now they are only slowing you down. Old wounds, unresolved grudges, and the bitterness of past betrayals cling to your soul like heavy chains. Carry them any longer, and you risk being immobilized when it matters most. Letting go is not weakness. It is the freedom required to move forward with purpose. The weights of yesterday have no place in the race toward eternity. Forgive the ones who wounded you, not because they deserve it, but because you cannot afford to live chained to the past. Unforgiveness is a thief. It robs your peace, your focus, and your ability to love fully. It poisons the heart, making it heavy and slow. Forgiveness is not about approving what happened. It is about releasing yourself from the prison it created. In this urgent hour, you cannot afford to run while dragging the weight of offense. Speak the truth without compromise, because truth is the only foundation strong enough to stand in the shaking that is coming. The temptation to water down your words or hide your convictions will grow stronger as the darkness deepens, but silence in the face of falsehood is agreement by default. Speaking truth may cost you approval, comfort, or even relationships, but it is a price worth paying to remain faithful. Truth is light, and the world needs it now more than ever. Love without conditions, because conditional love is no love at all. The love that transforms lives is the kind that flows even toward the undeserving, the ungrateful, and the hostile. It is the kind of love that breaks through walls of hatred and melts the hardest of hearts. In a world where love has grown cold, every act of selfless love becomes a testimony that points beyond yourself to something greater. Love freely, because love is one of the few things that will remain when everything else passes away. Serve without seeking applause, because service motivated by recognition is hollow. True service is done in secret, with no expectation of reward, knowing that the one who sees in secret will reward openly. Serving in humility shapes your heart and frees you from the trap of self-promotion. The more you serve without demanding credit, the more you reflect the nature of the one who came not to be served, but to serve. But to serve. Live every day as if it's the one that will echo into eternity. Too many live as if there will always be another tomorrow, as if time is an infinite resource. But the reality is each day is a gift that carries eternal significance. When you wake, ask yourself what you can do today that will matter forever. Live with the mindset that every choice, every word, and every act has the potential to ripple into eternity. The urgency of this time demands a singular focus. You cannot run effectively while glancing back at what is behind you or staring too far ahead in worry over what is to come. Focus on what is before you, the opportunities, the responsibilities, and the calling of today. When you live in the present with eternal purpose, you position yourself to respond instantly when the call comes. Throw off the distractions that promise pleasure but deliver emptiness. The enemy's strategy in these days is not always outright destruction. It is often subtle diversion. If he can keep your hands full with the temporary, he can keep your heart empty of the eternal. Recognize these traps for what they are and walk away from them, choosing instead what will last. This is the moment to run light. Live free, love deeply, speak boldly, and serve humbly. Everything that holds you back must be released so you can move without hesitation when the time comes. The race is not over yet, but the finish line is closer than it has ever been, and only those who are ready will cross it with joy.